Hello, hello, lovely people of both LinkedIn and YouTube. Another Monday, happy Monday for our American friends. I hope you all had lovely barbecue yesterday on 4th of July. But yeah, another Monday, time for another LinkedIn Live, another interesting conversation. And today it's with Sandra. So without me oh yeah, I need to talk about YouTube. So for those of you who don't know yet, we are streaming this to YouTube as well. So if you want to watch the replays of all the past interviews, they are all there. Go to YouTube, type in Fail Coach or Micha Matlievsky, and you'll find my channel. While you're there, you can subscribe, share, like anything you want. But without me rambling too much, it's time for our guest. And Sandra, welcome to the show. It's an absolute pleasure having you here. And if you can do me the honor and introduce yourself a little bit to the audience.
Miha, thanks so much for having me. I very much look forward to it. So my name is Sandra Stachowicz. I'm a book strategist, a 5 times bestselling author, and a publisher. And I help coaches write, launch, and publish their bestseller without compromising on their message, their values, their creative rights, or their book royalties.
Perfect. Well, but the title of this is From Failed Entrepreneur, and we'll start there. I mean, I'm going to ask you a few things about writing books as well. I'm absolutely positive that I have many people in my network who might be thinking about doing something and so on, but I love failed stories. I mean, I am the fail coach, so I love those stories. And why I love them is because there are just so many good lessons that we can learn from them. And by you sharing your stories, maybe you can prevent somebody from our audience to go through those same steps. They can make their own failures, but they don't have to necessarily repeat yours. So so you say in 2 years, but I'm guessing that was the transformation process. You were entrepreneur long before that, or am I wrong?
Yes, so that's correct. So I have been in business for 8 years. My first business was actually a brick and mortar business before I started my marketing business. So as you know, losing my business is part of my resume. And when I actually first decided to start a business, part of my stories also is that I contracted a life-threatening illness and I was bedridden and quarantined for a month. And that's basically when I got kicked out of my flat. The love of my life abandoned me on my deathbed. And basically everyone I knew in my life decided to check out of my life because they're all feared to catch it. And I was really so desperate that I asked my landlord for help. And so this is what gave me the courage and the motivation to start a business. So this is when when I was crying on my bedroom floor, giving the universe a middle finger, this is when I decided to conceive my business. So this is where I started my marketing business. And I did extremely well with that business within a very short period of time. So I worked for some of the biggest names in the industry, such as John Assaraf, Deborah Poneman, Marcy Shaimov, you name it. So I became incredibly successful within a relatively short period of time. But what actually ended happening is that within a couple of years, that business, despite the fact that it was doing really well, all of a sudden, like all my business ventures drew to a grinding halt. So everything that worked seamlessly for years stopped working practically overnight. And I know that this is something that a lot of people can actually relate. Because oftentimes we think that we have a really successful and thriving business. I actually had a business. I had multiple streams of income that basically dried up overnight. And then I basically found myself almost like trying to find my ground. I was basically gasping for air, like a fish out of water, because I didn't really I lost my sense of direction. But obviously, my bills didn't. So that's part of my story. And I didn't know how to maintain my high standard of living because obviously still had business expenses that I had to pay. And what actually ended up happening is that I took a sabbatical. So I took a year out of my business because I was feeling so confused, overwhelmed, and I basically just didn't know what to do with my business anymore to make it work. And I took a year sabbatical that actually spent 6 months traveling around the world just to find my ground, find my feet again.
But
And
Sandra,
yes.
I'm sorry for jumping in, but I would love to stay a little bit on that failed side a bit longer. And obviously, you took your sabbatical, so you had a lot of time to reflect on what happened. I'm sure that there probably were some patterns, certain things, maybe lack of certain foundations. I mean, there must have been something that, business that was stable, that was, growing, doing well. Something must have happened. And I'm sure there are some really valuable lessons there. So before we go to the other side of the tunnel, I would love to stay a little bit more there and dive deeper into, now looking back, what do you think were some of the things that led to that abrupt stop? And what do you think, if you would go back, what could you do differently or change? I believe in that those things are probably very valuable lessons to many.
Yeah, this is such a great question. I'm also a huge believer that just by sharing our own failures and sharing our own mistakes, we can actually prevent others from going through the exact same experience. That's why I also believe that we can learn as much from other people's mistakes, if not more. So we actually don't end up repeating those mistakes. So we can actually reverse engineer the process, and that's exactly what I did. So in hindsight, I realized that I didn't actually have strong enough business foundation. So that was one of my mistakes. What I did do well was I had obviously multiple streams of income. One of my mistakes was that I relied heavily on a limited number of traffic sources. So let's say Google. A lot of my income came from Google Ads, and obviously when Google Ads changed their terms and conditions, I often find myself that I basically had to go through the process of having my ads approved again. So that was one of my mistakes, relying too heavily on just one source of income. So Google Ads and Bing Ads was one of those sources of income. And I also relied heavily on organic SEO. So that was another another mistake on my part, because obviously if you are not actively learning how SEO works, every change in algorithm, whether that's Facebook's algorithm that seems to change every 5 minutes. So that was definitely one of my mistakes that we can all learn from. And obviously I had multiple streams of income. So that was definitely the strength of my business. But in hindsight, I can definitely see that as an entrepreneur, we don't necessarily want to limit ourselves to other people's products and services. So that's definitely something that moving forward I have changed, because back then I didn't even have any products and services of my own to promote. So even when John Assaraf, obviously is extremely well established, offered to promote me, I basically didn't have any products and services to promote. So that basically meant that I couldn't really take him up on the offer because I didn't have a proven track record or a product or service that had a proven conversion rate. So that was definitely an opportunity missed that could really lead to a really
So,
lucrative business.
Sandra, correct me if I'm wrong, but your business model was, were you an affiliate of those people, and you were just marketing that and getting some commission, or were you like classical digital marketing agency, and clients would come to you and you would create funnels and then drive traffic and so on. So what exactly was your business model?
Yeah, so my business model, the majority of my income actually came from affiliate marketing. I also toyed with the idea of creating my own products and services. That didn't go too well. So I believe that one of my biggest mistakes was really over relying on other people's products and services, because anytime they change anything in their sales funnel, obviously that affected the conversion rate. And this in turn meant that I basically had no control over what was happening when I was getting paid. So that was one of the downsides of being an affiliate. Sometimes it actually took 6 months for me to receive my affiliate commissions. Obviously, that didn't really necessarily allow me to plan if you're getting paid for the work that you carried out 6 months prior. So that was definitely one of the things that I have learned from.
Okay, I understand now better. Yeah. And I think one lesson that everybody can take away is, while of course you want to put many of your resources, energy, time, employees, money, and all of that towards what is working, it's still good to maybe do that with 70-80% of your resources, but then put 20-ish% of those resources towards learning new things, testing, trying, like you mentioned, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, all the other ads, and not just, yes, do what works, but always maintain that openness to learn and test something new, so that if something is doing better, you can always then shift a little bit of the resources and balance it more appropriately. Would you say that could be a big lesson for the audience from that?
Yeah, I definitely feel that would have ultimately helped save my business. Also, even diversifying my portfolio in terms of what I was actually selling. So rather than relying on selling other people's products and services, of also creating my own. So that would definitely allow for a lot more room. Also diversifying all the sources of traffic, whether that's could be LinkedIn ads, could be Bing ads back in the days, Google ads, Instagram ads. So definitely, rather than almost like putting all my eggs in one basket, I would definitely diversify all the products and services that I had on offer.
So you had multiple streams of income, but they were all based on just one business model, which was affiliate marketing, just with multiple people that you were affiliating for. So it was kind of multiple streams, but it was from the same business model. So it kind of wasn't, like a mix of both.
Yeah, and that ultimately backfired, because while I had a lot of systems and structures in place that were working, I had multiple, worked with multiple affiliate partners, I had multiple sources of traffic, but ultimately, as you said, that was just basically all based on one business model. This is what ultimately led to my demise.
Okay. Now I understand better. So yeah, well, yeah, it makes sense. And I mean, when I talk with new entrepreneurs, I often tell them, like, just sign up for an MLM that you can get behind a little bit, and just try it for a little bit, because you can learn valuable skills. You have product immediately, but not so much for the product, but you'll generate some cash flow. You will learn some sales skills, communication skills, but ultimately you want to shift away from that and create things on your own, because otherwise you are putting all these resources behind it while you're building somebody else's brand, whether that's a person or a company like Amway or whatever, but you're building their client base. So if something happens, you don't have a CRM full of potential clients. They don't even know you. You don't have your own brand that they can buy something from. And the moment you stop driving traffic, everything stops. So it's a good start to learn a lot of things. But then eventually, yeah, you want to move into something that's way more under your control. So Sandra, let's now go into your sabbatical and the things that happened there, and then how you emerged on the other side of that tunnel.
Yeah, so when I realized that my business basically wasn't working and just felt like I was throwing spaghetti at the wall to see if it sticks, I decided to do some traveling because I'm a huge travel lover, and that's what really helps me find my feet. And so I traveled for 6 months. Around that time, I actually co-authored my first international best-selling book. So without knowing it, I was actually building the foundation for my future business. But I really used that time because around that time I also realized that my money was running out and I really needed to do something about it. And that's when I decided to actually get into publishing. And so I needed a source of income so I could invest and learn how to actually write publish a best-selling book. So basically diverting all my money so I could learn how to become a published best-selling author. And that also meant that I had to take two full-time jobs. So that was the challenge. I had very little time because I was still carrying out some of the marketing activities of my previous business while building my coaching business at the same time. So the challenge was for me really lack of time. And that was a blessing in disguise because around that time I also made up my mind that I could fail at something I didn't really care about, because by that point I didn't really care about marketing. I lost the passion for it. I knew everything about marketing, but I just couldn't do it anymore. And I basically decided that I could fail at something I didn't care about, or I could fail at something that I actually loved. And that's when I really made up my mind to become a published best-selling author. So it was a transition that I made. It wasn't easy being active on social media after taking time out from Facebook for a year. If you know anything about Facebook's algorithm, if you're inactive for a prolonged period of time, you're basically starting from scratch. So in a sense, I felt that I was worse off because having a failed business was part of my resume. So I didn't necessarily have the enthusiasm I had when I first started out. So for me, that was a lot about mindset work as well, to really almost like forgive myself for letting my marketing business fall apart and letting it consciously disintegrate, and also leveraging the little time I did have between my two full-time jobs. And it was a blessing because it really helped me stay focused. I realized that I was a lot more productive because that 1 hour of break between my two full-time jobs, I knew that if I didn't sit down and write, I would never make progress with my book. So that's what really kept me going, like knowing that I was about to become a best-selling author, and knowing that if I didn't sit down and write during that 1 hour I had between my two jobs, that I would never be in a position to quit my two full-time jobs, and I'd forever be stuck in the corporate world that I basically escaped many years before.
Okay. Well, Sandra, I have so many questions here. So, well, I mean, you basically are now helping people do what you did. So let's take you a little bit out of the equation, and let's focus on your normal client. What are the benefits? I mean, the book alone probably will not, generate, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars per month unless you're a New York Times bestseller and you have a very good deal like J.K. Rowling's with Harry Potter. So a book is probably more like a vehicle to get something else. So what are some typical results, or maybe if you have a few examples, that's always the best. And you don't need to, name any names, but just maybe examples of what happens after somebody publishes a book.
This is such a great question. So the first person that really comes to mind is Ari. So Ari didn't actually write her own book. She contributed a chapter in an international best-selling book typically known as anthology or multi-author book. And back then she was only 26. She had a coaching business, and after she contributed a chapter in our book, back then she was making $30,000 a month. Before our book got published, she crossed over to 100K months with just a chapter in the book, with her baby girl strapped to her boob while having parenting issues. So this just goes to show that you don't necessarily even have to launch your book to Wall Street Journal bestseller. You can launch your book to Amazon bestseller and still get really amazing results. The last time I heard from her, she was a multimillionaire. So by the age of 26, some of our other clients landed interviews on BBC. Actually, multiple interviews on BBC. One of my other clients literally just messaged me before we jumped on the call that she was invited to return on BBC to be interviewed to talk about her book. So as you said, like writing a best-selling book is not a magic pill. So this is one thing I will say. Writing a best-selling book is not a magic pill. Because typically when you write a bestseller, it only magnifies whatever is working or not in your business. So let's say if your current conversion rate is 0, if you become a best-selling author, likely your conversion rate is still going to be 0. So it's not going to solve all your problems. But I really see writing a best-selling book as a vehicle. It's a business card. Writing a book doesn't stop, the moment you become a best-selling author, because you also want to have some systems and structures in place. You want to have an advanced marketing strategy, whether that's PR, so you can have that steady flow of clients. Our clients, the clients that we've worked with, they have secured multiple public speaking engagements. So it's almost like it opens up the door for them. Based on my own experience, when I have been in business for 8 years, but it wasn't until I became a published best-selling author that the people in my space finally recognized my accomplishments, and they started reaching out. Oh, hey Sandra, you have this, you are published best-selling author. I want to interview you. So that can really open up doors for you and really lead to a lot more exposure.
Well, Sandra, you really led me to my next question. But first of all, we have to say hi to Emily. She just commented. What did she say? Well, hi everyone. So hi Emily from us as well.
Hi Emily.
But my question, so is just putting out the book going to do something for you, or is it like a game plan, like a strategic game plan, how you will use that book that creates the results? Like, I don't know, sending copies of your book to targeted people, or milking the book through all the posting that you do everywhere, and getting yourself booked on podcasts. Like, does the attention come just because you released something into the wild, into Amazon, or is it really hard work, not necessarily from the author, but maybe from the team, that accomplishes that next step, that then converts into bigger sales, higher sales, and so on?
I feel that it works. This is such a great question. I feel it works in two ways. Because there's really something magical that happens when you launch your book to bestseller. So a lot of the clients, or even I've had a lot of clients reach out to me just based on the fact that I'm a best-selling author. They didn't necessarily even go through my sales funnel. They're just almost like seemingly came out of nowhere. So it works in two ways, because a lot of it happens organically and indirectly. It doesn't even necessarily have to come directly from the book. It's just the fact that you are a best-selling author that have a book to your name. As soon as people hear that, it instantly elevates your status, authority status. So people that may have been in your space for quite some time, it's almost like they really start seeing you. So it really does something on that level. Well, I will also say that writing and publishing a best-selling book doesn't end the moment your book reaches bestseller. So you really want to have some systems and structures in terms of advanced marketing strategy, whether that's Facebook ads, whether that's including the link to your book in your email footer, whether that's handing out copies at a workshop, having a book sales page. So really actively driving traffic for people to get a copy of your book. So typically what I advise is getting invited as a guest expert, whether that's on podcasts, radio, because this really gives you the platform to talk about your book. Then people enter your sales funnel, and then you can convert them into clients. So it almost has like a spillover effect.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and guess that that's something that is what you offer to your clients. So not just I'll help you with the writing, but also the strategy and how to really use it. Well, Emily wrote in the comment that she really is finally done with just saying that she'll write a book and that now she will do it. So maybe Emily can reach out to you after the interview, or you can reach out to Emily, and hopefully we can finally get Emily's book in our hand. I would love to read Emily's book and invite her back. She was my guest a few months ago, but I would love to invite her back to talk about her book.
Oh, wow, I'd love that. Yeah, I'd love to help Emily with her book.
Well, Sandra, one question. So maybe it's just my newsfeed, because I'm connected with so many people who are entrepreneurs and who are trying to be more visible, who are trying to build a brand around them and so on. But it feels like every day somebody is a best-selling author. And I don't know, at least to me, it feels that the whole best-selling book, best-selling author lost a little bit of that wow effect. You know, just like a few years ago when somebody said as seen on Forbes and you know, this TV and that TV, it actually meant something. And just a few days ago, I saw an ad in Facebook where you pay, I think, $100 and they get you to Fox something in a
I've seen one
town
of those, yes.
very remote, but you are technically on Fox network and you technically can then actually really put as seen on Fox, even though that has nothing to do with, you know, the mama channel, or you know, the main the big channel. So it's not like, oh, I've been on Ellen and, you know, on James Corden or something like that. So how does this work with you? I mean, I know that there are people who are, you know, selling, okay, so just write whatever you want, we'll put it on, you know, Kindle edition, we'll put it on Amazon, we'll put $1 price tag or something like that, and then ask 20 friends, we'll put your book in a very niche that nobody buys books from anyway, and then, you know, you will make 10 sales, and for an hour you will be bestseller in that category, and then just delete the category name and stuff like that, and voila, you are the best-selling author. So what are the differences between the different approaches that, you know, happen if somebody decides to work with a coach like you, or if they fall for those, pay us $100 and we'll make you, I don't know, the star of the show for an hour, kind of things.
Yeah, this is a very deep dive question, and I can very much relate to what you've just covered. And also feel that yes, becoming a published bestselling author has become a lot more accessible to most coaches, most entrepreneurs, which I believe is a great thing. But also, this means that a lot more people are actually becoming bestselling authors. Personally, I have, as much as blissful see reaching bestseller status feels, I have a very much laid back approach to becoming a best-selling author, because I also believe that our focus should be primarily on really making a difference in the world, on creating a positive change in the world. So yes, bestseller is absolutely, it's an absolutely amazing achievement. But at the same time, I also feel we should focus more on the transformational aspect of writing and publishing a book. Because what we often forget about is that writing a book is a journey of self-discovery. So rather than almost like concern ourselves with bestseller, at the end of the day, bestseller is just a trophy. So for me, as a writer, as a publisher, what I really concern myself with is if there's just one person out of 8 billion people on the planet that doesn't give up on their business, that doesn't take on their own life because of their failing business, then I have done my job. If there's just one person who picks up a copy of my book and they don't give up, and I'm getting chills just now, then I'm doing my job as a leader. So I feel that this is personally what really gets me out of bed. So helping people reach bestseller, all good. I mean, it's an amazing achievement. It feels absolutely blissful. But at the end of the day, I feel that as leaders, we are here to really create a positive change in the world. Whether you become a New York Times bestseller, a Wall Street Journal bestseller, Amazon bestseller, I can help you with all that. Cool. But at the end of the day, if I feel that you're in it for the money, I will not take you on as a client. And I also believe that it also takes a lot of responsibility to share our message. That however you choose to share your message, whether that's through Amazon, wherever you want to launch your book to New York Times bestseller, at the end of the day, all that really matters is your message.
Okay, I understand. Well, Sandra, we are running low on time. I mean, we are already after 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, I am the fail coach, so I always fail at trying to keep it at 30 minutes. But let's wrap it up slowly. So 2 more questions. Question number 1. Like if Emily or anybody else watching this live or on replay is, should I not? Well, what's the best way to, maybe have a conversation with you, and then they might make the decision easier when you walk them a little bit through the process, how much it will take, time, resources, and so on. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way to get in touch with me is basically, since we're on LinkedIn, just send me a friend's request on LinkedIn and then send me a personalized message. So that's one way to get in touch with me. Another way, I'm very active on Facebook, so feel free to find me on Facebook. Another way you can reach out to me is basically just type in www.thebookalchemy.com, and then you'll find a link with testimonials or client case studies. You also get the option to book a call with me. On LinkedIn, you'll also find a link to book a call with me, so you can book a call. That's really the best way to get in touch with me.
Perfect. Well, just a quick hi to Catherine as well. She jumped into the comments saying hi, and she loves the interview. So congrats to us too.
Hey,
Well,
Catherine. Yes, and congrats to us.
Sandra, my last question is always, I am quite the chatty person and I go left and right. And sometimes, maybe I'll forget to ask something that you really want to share with the audience. So my last question is, the golden nugget of wisdom, that last message that you might want to share with the audience before we say goodbye.
Yeah, so my last piece of advice is that oftentimes we get really attached. We keep telling ourselves, I'm not good enough of a writer, I'm not talented enough, I'm not a native English speaker or whatnot. So what I feel like really helped me is like really give yourself permission to write badly. Give yourself permission to write badly. And rather than focus on perfection, focus on progress.
Yes. I'm seeing more messages. So sorry. So there's a lady, Irina, and she's saying, "Please reach out to me, Sandra." So yeah, Sandra.
I most
After the
certainly will.
Yeah, after the interview, you have to go into the comments and see who to reach out to. But yeah, really nicely said. Really nicely said. Yeah, sometimes we just need to do the next step. And I thank you for encouraging our audience. Obviously, they are accepting your message really well. We have 3 ladies who are eager to start on their book. So that's good. And I will love reading their books and then inviting them back to the interview. Well, I never had an interview with Irina. So I would love to do that once she has her book out. But Sandra, thank you so much. Thank you for being my guest, and thank you for giving us a little bit of insights into your story and insights into the whole book writing process. And I don't know, maybe we just have to schedule another one for September or October and really just dive into the book writing or the process so that you can educate my audience even a bit more, because I'm guessing that this is a very interesting topic. So I
It
would love
really
to do
is.
that.
Yeah, I'm definitely all up for it.
Oh, well, Irina is saying that she would love to get an interview with me. Well, Irina, send me a DM, and yeah, let's jump on a call. Let's see how we can do that, and I will be very happy to host you as well. So, Sandra, thank you so much. I wish you nothing but all the best on your journey. Thank you for sharing so much valuable information, and I'm already looking forward to the next time we do the interview. Take
So,
care.
thanks so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, guys. So this was Sandra and me clicking all over the place, trying to catch all your comments. But yeah, time to stop with this interview. Otherwise, people on replay will not want to watch it. I love this interview. I think Sandra really brought a lot of good value to the table. She was highly recommended to me by people that I really respect and really trust. So I haven't gone on this journey of book writing with her, but I'm absolutely positive if this people recommended her to interview her, then she definitely is worth talking to. So if you are thinking about it, or pondering whether you should write a book or not, maybe just have a conversation. You never know on what path that can lead you to. But with that said, happy Monday, happy week. I hope you're all healthy, safe. I hope this craziness around the world is not affecting you too much. Next Monday, we'll be back with another great interview. So I invite you all back for next Monday. And that's it. Have fun. Enjoy.